Our July craft kit is here, kicking it off with all the fun goodness packed into 3 separate boxes. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can put your kits together, what each box comes with, and leave links for you to sign up for this month's box. So let's jump into box number 1 and 2. For box number 1, you are going to receive this kit right here, these 2 fun little houses. For box number 2, you're going to receive that same kit plus a 6x6 paper pad. For the month of July, there are 2 different paper pad options, so we have a variation this month. You'll receive one of the following books from these 2 options. Let's jump into box 1 and 2 and assemble the kit and teach you how to put it together. For July's Craft Club, this kit comes in box 1, 2, and 3. For box 2 and 3, you're also going to get a 6x6 paper pad. And like I mentioned before, there are 2 different paper pads. You can receive one or the other. So it is a variation this month. For this box, I'm going to show you all the pieces that come with it. Now, there are extra pieces so that you can pick and choose what you want to put on your house so that you have more variety and can have it look the way that you want it to look. So I'm going to start by taking out some paper from my 6x6 paper pad. I took out 2 sheets that I thought would coordinate really well together, and I'm going to take that top portion of the house that looks like an arrow, and I'm going to trace the inside of the house. I cut that out, and I also cut out the windows using an X-Acto knife. I'll take some Mod Podge, and I'm going to put that on the back of our house. I'm going to let the Mod Podge completely dry for both of my houses. So I'll just place that Mod Podge wherever the paper is going to go, let it totally dry, and then I'm going to take some parchment paper and using my mini heat press from Cricut, I'm going to reactivate that Mod Podge and have the Mod Podge stick to the paper. I like doing this as more of a wrinkle-free option. I am not great when it comes to working with Mod Podge when it's wet, but I find this to be a foolproof method of getting your paper wrinkle-free on your projects. Next, I'm going to take some Waverly Wax and Antique, and I'm going to use this as a stain. So I'm going to paint the wax onto my top pieces of my houses, and then I will use a paper towel to remove any of the excess wax that's on my piece. I also went around the chimneys with the same wax, and I did cover some of the outside of the houses where the paper isn't, just because I didn't get it completely perfect. You could still see some of that natural wood peeking through when you put the top layer on it. So I just added the wax to kind of make it match a bit more. I'm going to start painting all of my add-on pieces. So I'm going to take this COUTURE paste in rust. I used a little bit of water, mixed it together to make it more of a paint. I love this color and I thought it was perfect for one of my pumpkins. So I just go through and paint it, and then I add some detail using some brown paint. Just tried to make my pumpkin look a little bit more dirty, and I just went back and forth with the brown and the orange to make it have more dimension. Next, I'll move on to using my brown paint, and I took that brown paint and went onto my cotton ball pieces and painted portions of that brown. I also used it to paint the little stick with the white berries, and I did add some water to that paint and then wiped off the excess. I didn't want it to look super painted. I wanted some of the natural wood to show through. I wanted it to look more like a stain. I used a white marker to color in my berries, and then as well for my cotton, I just used that white marker as well. I find that using markers is a lot easier to work with when you're dealing with little details and smaller pieces and you're not having to use a paintbrush to try to get into all of those detailed lines. For my leaf, I used a bit more of an orangey brown. I want to say this is burnt sienna, and I mixed it with a bit of water and again used it like a stain so that I could have a bit more of a stained look to the leaf rather than it being just full-blown paint. For my wheat, I went back and forth with 2 different shades of yellow, so a darker yellow and a lighter yellow. Again, I wanted more dimension to my piece, so I would add the darker yellow and then I'd go back over it with a bit of the lighter yellow, and I just followed that same process all the way up. I did eventually add a little bit of brown to my piece as well, just kind of adding little streaks here and there. I just wanted my wheat to look very dimensional, like a natural wheat would look like. For my mushroom, I went in with some watered down gray paint and again kind of used it like a stain, added my paint on top, and then dabbed off the excess. For my last pumpkin, I wanted to paint it white, so I just used some white chalk paint and then kind of mixed a little bit of gray in there to add some dimensional lines here and there. To finish it off, I took a black paint pen and added little details to all of my little add-on pieces. Now you're going to start assembling your houses, so I like using the wood glue super glue that you can get from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to add glue around my entire house, take that top portion and set it right down on top of it. Now you want to make sure that the bottoms are completely flat so that your houses can stand up, so make sure the bottoms are nice and flush with each other. I'll glue my wheat down to my larger house, along with the white pumpkin right next to it. I'll add the flat leaf. This also needs to be flush with the bottom of your piece. And lastly, I'll glue my mushroom on top of the wheat. For my shorter house, I added my larger pumpkin, and then I arranged my sticks and berries in a way so that part of them were taller than the other. I glued my cotton right on top of them, added my last little stick and berries, and then glued cotton onto that as well. And that's all you gotta do for this one. I think this one is so much fun. I'm so excited for fall, and I love all of these colors. Fall just makes me happy, so this one is definitely a favorite. Now jumping into box number 3, you are going to receive the contents that came in box number 2, as well as a new kit and a couple accessory items. For box number 3, this is the kit you're going to get, and then you are going to get 2 accessory pieces. You'll get a chipboard that will look like this, and then you'll also get an ephemera that looks like this. Lots of fun little details that you can add to your pieces, little sayings, whatever you want to do with it. But I'm going to show you all the pieces that come with box number 3, a really pretty arrangement of fall leaves and pumpkins, apples, and it's all set in this really cute crate. So to finish your kit, I'm going to start by using a watercolor based stain. This is the Voodoo stain from Dixie Belle. I like it because it has 0 smells, and I am very sensitive to smell. I get headaches really easily, so I prefer using water-based when I am in my craft room. So I'm going to paint the shiplap portion of our crate, and then I'll also paint the backing of our piece. I don't paint the bottom fourth just because you're not going to see it, so I just stick to the top 1/3 or top 2/3 of the piece. I took a couple colors from my Chalkology paste from COUTURE, Eucalyptus and Rust. I'm going to use those to paint a couple of my pumpkins, and I do water them down so that they are more of a paint rather than a paste. Now when I'm painting my pumpkins, I like to add detail while the paint is still wet. So as the eucalyptus gets down onto my pumpkin, I'm going to go in with just a little bit of white and kind of go over making little details. I also did that with my orange pumpkin, and I'll also do that with my white pumpkin, just kind of adding little grooves, little details here and there with some browns, some grays, and some whites. I will paint all of my leaves and my little stick and berries like I did with the previous project, painting on my paint and then using a paper towel to kind of wipe off the excess, because again, I did add some water to the paint to make it more of a stain rather than a full paint. taking that same white marker. This actually comes from the Dollar Tree, and I use that to paint the berries. I also use that to paint the cotton. Now I didn't paint in the little cotton pieces this time. Where I had painted the brown, I left them the natural wood. I thought it looked really nice. I painted my apple red and then painted my wheat just like I did on the previous project, except for this one I did add a little bit more detail than the other one. So I think this one turned out really nice as well, but I wanted to try something a little different. I tried to make little slashy marks to make it look like real wheat. So there is that. And then for the words, just used my white marker to color those letters in. Now to assemble your piece, you are going to take your blank rectangle that has no shiplap lines, it's just completely blank. You are going to glue this to the bottom of your arched piece. Make sure everything is nice and flush at the bottom. And then you're going to take your smaller little rectangles that you have and you're going to glue those to each side of your piece so that it touches the rectangle that you just glued down. So it'll look like this with all of that glued. Now I like putting my piece together before I start gluing it so I know where each piece is going to go. So I kind of laid everything out in an arrangement and then I started gluing everything down. Again, just using that wood glue super glue that you can get from Dollar Tree, and I just began gluing everything down. With the amount of layers that this piece is, you are able to stack 2 layers high from this point. So I have my first layer down and then I'm going to start stacking. So I'm going to add my pumpkins on top of that first layer, add my second pumpkin, and then you can go ahead and add your shiplap piece on top of that. And then I'll go through and add my little cotton balls to wherever I want them to be placed. Next, I'll add my shiplap piece on top. Like I said, you can only do 2 layers high to keep this piece nice and flush with everything else. And then after that's on there, you can go ahead and add the rest of your pieces. So I added my apple so that the bottom of the apple touched the top of the shiplap piece, and then I added my leaf with the flat bottom so that it was nice and flat and even onto my shiplap piece. Next, I'm going to take out some banner pieces that came in the ephemera. This is what they look like. They were a bit too tall for what I wanted to do with them, so I just laid them all together, took some scissors and cut off, I wouldn't say half, maybe like a third of the top so that they were a bit shorter. I took some Mod Podge and added them to my crate. So the first 2 pieces, I just made them flush with the sides, and then that middle piece I just laid on top of those other 2 banner pieces. I wanted this to have a cute little banner on the side. You could also glue this to a piece of twine if you wanted, but I thought the Mod Podge looked really nice as well, just having it glued straight to the sign. And then I also took a black paint pen and made some dots on the banner pieces to make it look like an actual banner with holes in it. And then to finish it off, I am going to glue down my words "Hello Fall." And that is all you have to do for this kit. I think this is so much fun. I love the arrangement. I love the pumpkins. And again, the fall colors just get me every single time. So this is how this kit turns out. And that's it for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful in putting your July Craft Club kits together. If you want to sign up and receive these kits, make sure that you do it in the month of July. After July, they will no longer be available. I will have the link down below for you to sign up, and you can choose from box number 1, 2, or 3, depending on what you want in your box. Don't forget to subscribe before you guys leave. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!